Hi, you're watching Money Masterclass on Money 9. I'm Karthik Malhotra. As markets stay volatile, inflation soars, and interest rates plummet, what are the options available for investors looking at relatively safer and fixed returns on their investments and not really willing to dabble into the stock markets? Well, corporate FDs is one such tool. Yes, corporate FDs like bank FDs are regulated by the Reserve Bank of India. But is it safe to say that they are absolutely risk free? Perhaps not. Are they riskier than bank FDs? Perhaps yes. So who should invest in corporate FDs, and are corporate FDs really meant for you and your investments? Joining us to decode corporate fixed deposits is Vishal Dhawan. Hi Vishal, thank you so much for joining us on Money 9. Take us through corporate fixed deposits. What are they and who should be looking at investing in them?
Thanks, Karthik, for having me over. So I think corporate deposits do tend to get a lot of attention in two scenarios. One is when interest rates are low, like we are right now, and the second, whenever there is some sort of a challenge that happens with some corporate deposits not getting paid back in time as contracted. And therefore, it's very important to buy corporate deposits very sensibly rather than just go after the higher rate of return that they may offer. So I think the first thing that viewers need to understand is that corporate deposits are similar to bank deposits, but they have certain characteristics that are different. Number one, you need to remember that corporate deposits are like giving a company an unsecured loan, which essentially means that you are going to be lower down in the list of creditors if something was to go wrong with the company. And therefore, it's very important that you are careful about the company that you give your money to in the form of a corporate deposit. So why would investors still go there if it's an unsecured loan? Fundamentally, the reason why people go there is because you get about 75 basis points, so 0.75% to 1.5% higher than what you would get on a similar bank deposit of the same tenure. So if you're willing to get that 0.75 to 1.5% extra per year, and in turn willing to give up some liquidity because they're not as liquid as a bank deposit, uh, then I think corporate deposits work well for you as an investor.
So you mentioned that sometimes even the best intentioned companies, so to speak, go down and are unable to honor their claims or unable to honor their customers who've invested or loaned out money to them in the form of a corporate deposit. What are the safeguards that one should exercise, and how do you go about gauging whether you should be investing in a corporate deposit with a particular company?
So there are a few things that we tell investors to keep in mind. Number one is that corporate deposits tend to be rated, especially those issued by finance companies. And therefore, one of the things that we normally suggest is pay a lot of attention to this rating that exists for the corporate deposit. You have all kinds of ratings available because there are different rating agencies. Typically, try to stay with the AAA rated companies. If at all you're willing to take a little bit of risk, go down to maybe AA plus, but avoid going to companies that are lower than that as far as ratings are concerned. Because what you end up doing very often is buying corporate deposits for a reasonably long period of time. And the financials of the company can get worse over a period of time. And because as an instrument, it's not very liquid, you don't want to end up in a situation where you're holding on to a deposit, even though the finances of the company have got much worse.
Right.
What you need to also do beyond just the ratings is track the company results reasonably closely. So look at whether those companies are still profitable. Look at whether they are going into an excessive borrowing program. So I think as an investor, you will need to keep your eyes and ears open when you buy a corporate deposit, and don't believe that it's one of those fill it, shut it, forget it kind of solutions. After all, if you're going to get about a percent or percent and a half extra per year, that amount is meaningful enough for you to actually go out and do some ongoing due diligence even after you've invested in the deposit. Last but
Right.
not the least, ensure that you diversify within corporate deposits as well. I think there is a tendency to just go with the corporate deposit that pays you the highest rate of interest, and that's not a great idea. I think what you want to do is, after looking at the ratings, after looking at the strength of the company, etc., still cap the amount of exposure that you'll take to each corporate when you're buying deposits. One of the rules of thumb that we would suggest is don't put away more than 10% of your money into more than one corporate deposit, because it's important to be able to diversify away the risk when you're investing, especially longer term.
Right, Vishal. You mentioned corporate fixed deposits are not as liquid as bank fixed deposits. So, what is the average lock-in period, if that is what it is called? And how flexible is it in case you do need to get out of your investment at some point, going to some contingency? How do you go about doing that?
So most corporate deposits tend to come with a clause which says that they can pay you back at the discretion of the company. And I think that's important to know, because what you want as an investor very often is the discretion to be able to withdraw whenever you wish to withdraw. And what the company is doing is it's saying that I'm going to have the discretion on when to withdraw with me, and you can make the request and I'll pay you back, when I wish to. And I think that's a very fundamental difference in approach. And that's why it's good to see the track record of the company that you're investing in terms of how do they, tend to constantly pay back depositors as and when money comes up for, paying back of a withdrawal. Most of them do allow you to withdraw with some premature penalties. So depending on the time and tenure of deposit that you have, you could find that for the first 3 months, they could end up giving you back only your principal if you end up, withdrawing. After that, there could be a penal interest that could get charged, ranging from 1% to maybe 3% a year, if you wish to withdraw that, prematurely. So I think look at the some of that liquidity aspects very importantly, because very often when you're buying a deposit, your attention is more on the rate of return, because you're not thinking so much about the withdrawal aspect, because you're just assuming that you will hold it to maturity.
Right. And how do you rate, Vishal, a corporate deposit to, let's say, something like a non-convertible debenture? Because broadly, you're following the same principle. You are loaning a part of your corpus to a corporate entity. So how do the two really differ?
So I think the way that we would suggest investors look at it is that NCDs are typically not, taken back by the company itself. If you need access to the money, you need to take it from the from selling it in the secondary market. And that means the liquidity is dependent on the view of the company that exists in the secondary market amongst various investors. So I think this is a big difference in terms of liquidity aspects. And that's why our suggestion would be that if you get a corporate deposit from the same entity and an NCD from the same entity, then what you want to do is you want to compare it in terms of whether the rate of interest for the same period is similar or dissimilar. If it's dissimilar, by how much, and whether that difference is large enough for you to move to liquidity creation from the secondary market rather than giving it back to the company and withdrawing your money. What is also very important is that when you want to withdraw money from a corporate deposit,
Yeah.
you could find that the company has its own time that it takes to pay back the money. So it's not like walking into a bank branch and instantly liquidating it, saying, I need, say, the money for a medical emergency. And can you please transfer the money to my bank account today or tomorrow? This could end up taking a little bit longer. And therefore, you need to factor that in when you're buying the corporate deposit. The same way with the NCD as well. Because if you want to sell it in the secondary market, there has to be someone on the other side who thinks it's very attractive to buy that NCD from you, in case you're, in the process of selling it.
Right. And I mean, it's easy to do bank fixed deposits. You go to your bank, you go to net banking or the app, and it's simple to sort of purchase it. It's available at the click of a button. How do you go ahead and buy or sell at some point your corporate deposits? What's the process of doing it? Do you go directly to the corporation from where you need to get this fixed deposit, or are there apps available that let you do it?
So it's a combination of both things happening. So different, corporates have actually been able to, um, uh, you know, digitize their buying process or their withdrawal process differently. But it's definitely not as simple as what you would do of a bank deposit. So I would typically suggest that the larger digitization has today happened on the buying side. So you'll probably find it a lot easier than you would once upon a time. But when you're withdrawing it prematurely, you need to keep in mind that it may be a slightly more difficult process. And you also need to keep in mind that when it's coming up for renewal, you need to track it as well, because there could be a certain time period before the fixed deposit comes up for renewal that you have to intimate the company in terms of what you really want to do. So some of these nuances would be very useful when you're making these decisions on, buying a corporate fixed deposit or even wanting to withdraw from one. Besides one of the most important points, which is the tax bracket that you are in. And
I was just
therefore,
going to ask
always
you that. Yeah, I was just going to ask you on the taxation on corporate fixed deposits. So, yeah, please go ahead and tell us.
Yeah, so I think what tends to happen is that very often we're all thinking in terms of nominal returns. So we keep thinking about a 6% per annum bank deposit rate or a 5.5% bank deposit rate like you have right now, versus a corporate deposit which might give you 6.5 to 7%. Um, what is important to keep in mind is that the interest that you earn in both a bank deposit and a corporate deposit are both taxed basis your income slab. So if you're in a low
Right. So
income
it gets
slab,
added to your income, and the tax slab going to now this added income stays applicable.
that's right. So there is a marginal tax rate that will get applied depending on your tax slab. And that's one of the reasons why it's also important to keep in mind that when you are making this decision, sometimes even instruments like debt mutual funds, even though they don't give you an guaranteed or any sort of predictable rate of return, may also be options, because especially for those individuals who are in a high tax bracket, I think the tax efficiency long term that debt mutual funds bring in and the indexation benefit that they offer could actually make them a very viable option to consider within this space when you're actually evaluating fixed income options.
Right. And within the fixed income options, well, how do you rate corporate fixed deposits at all? Is this one of the better options for investors, or you would rather suggest stick on to the traditional bank fixed deposits if you don't really need that extra 0.75%?
So our view is that if you're staying with this highly rated corporate deposits and liquidity is not an important consideration, because you have other monies that you can depend upon in case of an emergency or requiring any sort of withdrawals from the portfolio, I think corporate deposits are certainly an option to consider. The only thing I would suggest in an environment where interest rates are moving upwards is try to buy deposits which are slightly shorter in tenure, typically 1 to 2 years, rather than trying to lock in for a 5 year deposit, even if it's giving you a slightly higher rate of return, to reduce some of the reinvestment risk that might come because of the fact that you are actually in a rising interest rate environment at this point.
Right, Vishal Dhawan there telling us that going for corporate FDs, but for a shorter duration, even if the interest rate is lower, and at the same time invest in corporate FDs only if liquidity is not as much of a concern. Thank you so much, Vishal Dhawan, for taking this money masterclass for all our viewers. That's a wrap on this episode. Thank you so much for watching Money 9. Goodbye.